네, 안녕하세요. 저는 축자라 Liverpool fan 가이라고 합니다. 네. Yeah, me included. This game was really frustrating. As a Son fan, I want to see him on the ball. Like, I'm a football fan, so I love seeing good players on attack and running at players and creating chances. And in this game, Sonny literally, he had the ball like a few times only, like hardly ever in space. And he had that one chance which he kind of could have done better for a player of Sonny's ability, but he was off balance and in the moment it just didn't really work. I just think it's not good enough from Spurs at home. Disappointing to see with that attacking quality on the field not to use them. So I was disappointed at how Mourinho set up the team. Okay guys, so we're going to have a look at what Mourinho had to say after the match and analyze his comments and see where he made mistakes and where he went wrong.
We improve a lot from the first 15-20 minutes to the second 15-20 minutes. And is when we are creating chances and we have our chances to score that they have the penalty. And from them the game of course is different. In spite of that, in the second half we were trying and we were dominating. We didn't have any problems behind.
Okay, so I think he's right. The first 15 minutes, they were worse than the next 15 minutes, but still it was nowhere close to good enough. And when he says they were dominating, I watched the whole game, there was nowhere in the match where they were dominating at all. Again, this is Spurs at home, and there's been talk of winning the league this year, and the Spurs are at home against Leicester. So there's no excuses. Again, he's a clever manager, he's been around a long time, so he's not going to say it exactly how it is always, but I completely disagree. They never dominated this game at all, and Leicester were the better side throughout the match and completely deserved the 3 points.
Own goal, 2-0. The game was not that. The reaction was positive again. We had a big chance of Sonny that Schmeichel makes.
Yeah, so Sonny, Son didn't have much, again, hardly any opportunities all game. That chance was a pretty big chance, but he was kind of off balance and didn't quite get it. And it was still a good hand from Schmeichel, good save. I think Spurs are too reliant on Son and Kane. And Sonny, at the end of the day, he's a human. He's not a robot, so he can have bad games. I don't think he had a bad game today. I think he just had no chances. But if he does have a bad game, or if Kane has a bad game, you need other players to provide attacking threats. And Spurs don't really have that. If Kane doesn't play well, who else is going to be feeding Son? Who's going to be passing to Son? No one. And Sonny, you can see, he wasn't always on the left. He wants the ball. He's trying to, you see him sometimes on the right even, he's trying to look for plays. But you can imagine if you're Son and all game you're playing, waiting for like 1 or 2 little half chances. That's not fun. That's not how you want to play football.
I remember us being dominant and trying, and I agree with you, we didn't create 15 chances in the second half, but they are a good team. They know how to defend. They know how to drop the lines back, and they create those difficulties by their defensive organization.
I think a big problem with Spurs is that, as I said before, when they're winning, it's all fine. But I think now that it's starting to go against them, you're starting to see like the frailties in their team. And for me, their midfield is defensively great, like Sissoko and Højbjerg. They're good defensively, but no one's really picking a pass to those front three. There's no creativity. So you've got world-class players like Sonny and Kane at the front, no service, and that's why you're seeing Kane's almost has to play as two different roles in his team. So he often has to drop back, and then he's the one trying to find Son, which obviously then you're using an attacking player up front. So when it worked great. Like Kane did it in the first few games. He dropped back and 4 assists to Son in one game. Great, it worked well. But over a whole season, that's not going to happen every game. So there has to be a set system in place. A good 10 or a good attacking midfield player to feed Son, so that every time, it shouldn't just be from counters. It should be a normal play. Even when Leicester's defending or the team's sitting back, you need someone that can, like a Thiago, like a Coutinho, can suddenly Son makes a run and they can pick them out with a little creative ball, and then Spurs can score. Because at the moment, you can't see Spurs scoring in normal play.
You feel sometimes that Spurs need to be more proactive rather than reactive, maybe take the game to the opposition a bit more?
The fact that we didn't start well is not because I didn't tell the players for not to start well. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Don't get me wrong. Like, so it's like, don't understand me in the wrong way, or don't mistake what I did, you know? So maybe I say to Halmoni, if my Korean's not good, I'm like, oh, annyeong. And they like, you know, like a bit confused because that's not good, right? Then maybe they think I'm rude or something. I'd be like, oh, I'm really sorry. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's not what I meant. Just, you know, it's just, my Korean's not great or something like that. So yeah, it's more to just say, don't misunderstand me. That's not what I meant. He's won a lot of trophies in other clubs. Chelsea, you know, United, he did well, and in Europe as well. But yeah, I think he's got to adapt with, like, football's changing all the time. 4-3-3 is way more common than it used to be, you know. There used to be more that, like, one lone striker up front. So it's changing, and I think Mourinho doesn't often change as the game changes. So yeah, I definitely think, yeah, he's got to realize that you can't defend and play that defensive and expect to win the league. It's just not going to happen. You've got to go, especially at home, you've got to go and put teams to the sword and attack them.
You can't sit back against Leicester or you're going to get Scotch bonnet. You're going to get peppered, fam. You know what I'm saying? And we paid the price.
Expressions. I love the guy. He's awesome. He's a proper Tottenham fan because he says it how it is. And what he said is perfectly spot on. It's Leicester coming to Spurs. You've got to attack them. And they did sit back, way too passive. So he's saying they paid the price. So basically, yeah, you keep being too defensive and you keep giving a world-class players like Vardy opportunities. Eventually, it's going to come back to bite you. And that's what exactly what it means. They paid the price. So
that's what it was. It could have been more than 2-0. It could have been more than 2-0.
Exactly.
That's pretty much it, innit? Like, that's it, man. The negative football.
And as he says, it could have been more. I mean, you can't sit back and expect 90 minutes that they're not going to create chances. And yes, you can say, oh, it was an own goal. But it's because of pressure and they're attacking, putting the ball in the box, getting close to the goal. His chances are going to happen, and that's when, whether it's own goal or not, it's in the back of the net. So yeah, Expressions is right, and he loves Tottenham. He bleeds Tottenham. So he's going to say it he's saying it how it is, and he's not happy, and I agree with him. Like, they did not attack enough. They've got to go after the game. So yeah, he's 100% right.
I think what's been was good for us. We learned from where we were 6 months ago here when we were 3-0 down inside half hour. So it was going to be important that we could impose our way of playing in the game, but also manage their counter-attack. And right. I don't think if we had any counter-attacks against us. So that's a great tribute to the players, how focused they were in our game plan, but also playing how we want to play, which is getting the ball and having rhythm.
So what he's saying, as he said, the last time they went to Spurs, they were 3-0 down in half an hour, and they learned from that. And he said that they had rhythm and they were allowed to play. And yes, Leicester were really good, but I'd say a lot of that was Spurs let them. If you give a team that's good on the ball, that much ball, they're going to get into rhythm. They're going to start passing around, feel more comfortable. And that's not what you want, of course, especially when they're coming to your ground. You want to make them feel under pressure, you want to press them, you want to be attacking them from the first whistle. And they didn't do that. So new tactics is what we need. Same old shit. Yep, I agree. Like, again, yeah, I've said before, same thing. It's happened at Chelsea. He was amazing, Mourinho, for a few years. At United, he did well with the team they had. But eventually you get caught out and the fan base starts turning. And you've seen that again at Mourinho. A lot of Spurs fans are not happy. Okay, guys, so today we talked about the Tottenham-Leicester game. Focused on Mourinho's tactics and what he had to say after the game and how he not really using Sonny as much as he should be. But yeah, so it's more important to stay with him, and Spurs need to change around straight away. I want to see Mourinho admit that wasn't good enough. I want to see him come out from the first whistle attacking, give Son the ball in space, get Kane running at the Wolves defenders. Yeah, hopefully that's going to happen. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please comment, like, and subscribe. Please let me know in the comments what you think about Mourinho's tactics and if you agree that he should be giving Son a lot more ball on the front foot. Yeah, and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.